Hey, it's the 40-watt garage. Welcome to the channel, or welcome back. I hope you've all had a happy holiday season and are looking forward to what 2026 is going to bring us. This is a continuation of my previous video series about the brake system problems I had on the Factory 5 Roadster. If you look at that video series, it came down to where I had to rebuild the master cylinders, replace the brake fluid, bleed the lines, and get the car at least mobile again. That whole disaster started out literally on the last day of driving season where I live. I was gonna fill up the car, bring it back, get it ready for winter, and park it. And then all of a sudden the brake system gives me headaches. So I went through at that time what I had to do to get the car mobile again, but the repairs were not 100% complete. My winter project is going to be finishing that repair and again replacing or repairing some parts that were either damaged or compromised when the brakes locked up and failed. This video is going to detail some of those parts and the changes that I'm going to make to the braking system on the car. Back in 2017, when I placed the order with Factory 5 and started accumulating parts to build the car, I did like many others and got a hub-to-hub low mile takeout IRS assembly from a Mustang. I found the one that I wanted with the gear ratio that I wanted and the differential that I wanted and ordered it. But unbeknownst to me, the unit I received had the 11.65 or 296 millimeter vented rotors, which are the Cobra option or the Bullet option brakes. So unbeknownst to me, I got a bonus in the rear braking system with the larger rotors. When I ordered my kit, I went the complete kit route, which has the Factory 5 control arms, spindles, and the Mustang based front disc brake system. The Mustang system uses a 10.8 inch or 276 millimeter, I think, front rotor and a dual piston caliper. I'm often asked, well, why didn't you go with the Wilwood setup? Several reasons, one of which wasn't in the budget. That's $3,000 plus that I could use elsewhere. Second, this brake system was designed to haul a 3,400 pound Mustang to a stop. Factory 5 Roadster is about 2,200, 2,400 pounds. 3, OEM reliability, OEM availability. If I'm in Quackgrass Flats, Montana, and I've got a problem, I'm pretty assured going down to the corner auto parts store, I'll be able to walk out of there with Mustang parts. All that being said, there is a known failure or a known problem with the Mustang front brakes. It's well documented that the front brake caliper pistons have a tendency to stick in the bores. I don't know the exact reason, but the common thread is that the phenolic pistons have a tendency to swell. In the bores, they get stuck. Kind of goes against my reliability or availability thing, but you can draw your own conclusions. Well, I've got the rear wheels chocked, and so let's get the front wheels off of this thing and pull the calipers and get started on this project. Notice down near the hub where the rotor has actually been blued from the heat, and down on this lower rim here you can actually see discoloration in between the vent slots in the edge of the rotor. I'm sure the pads are junk. They're just heat glazed or ruined, and I don't know if there's any run out on this disc or not. I might jig up a dial indicator to check. But with this kind of damage, I was going to have to replace the rotors and the pads anyway. Trying to find a shop that even has a brake lathe anymore to turn rotors is a exercise in frustration. So, and they're inexpensive to the point of where just replace with new. Sad statement of the times, but that's just the way it is. Let's just see what we get here. That is very surprising. I've got about a thousandth and a half deflection. I was anticipating that these things would be much more warped than that. Now it's come time to remove the caliper from the spindle. And seeing as I am changing the calipers, I'm going to remove my brake pipe, cap it off, because as soon as I loosen that up, it's going to start to dribble fluid. So that's a 14 mil to get the banjo bolt loose. And there it goes. It's leaking like crazy. Got some paper towel down, kind of hopefully soak it up a little. And then the caliper itself is going to drain. What a mess. So what this is it's a rubber vacuum line cap that just happens to be slightly larger than the hole through the banjo eye. And I was able to push that through. It seals it up. This has been sitting here 10 minutes. It is bone dry without a drip. So now I can take as much time as I need to clean and get things ready for the new parts without losing all my fluid. Got my mess cleaned up, so I'm going to pull the caliper from the bracket. There's two ways you can go about this. You can take the whole thing off as an assembly, or pull the caliper from the bracket and the bracket from the spindle. Pulling the caliper first just gives you more room to access these hold down bolts for the bracket. This is a 12 mil. Well, one good thing is they're obviously not frozen or rusty. Okay, that came off relatively easy. Then to get the caliper bracket off, we need to remove these two, which are also 12 mil. this will lift off as well with the pads. You may have noticed there isn't air tools or battery powered tools in sight. Call me old school. I prefer using hand tools. It gives me a sense of feel, or I can detect if something is wrong or binding, rather than putting the whammy to it with power tools and potentially breaking or stripping something. So I just prefer using hand tools. With the caliper and the bracket out of the way, we can get the rotor off of the hub. I'm just gonna pull those lug nuts that I screwed on to hold it, and we will proceed. And that completes the removal of the caliper and bracket and rotor system on the driver's side of the car. I'm going to do the same on the passenger side off camera, and then we'll do a thorough cleanup on all of this assembly and move forward. Well, here's a comparison shot of the older stuff compared to the new stuff that's going on. So I've got my spindle and this assembly all cleaned up and everything, and we're just gonna kind of do a trial or dry fit of these components. So I've got a new rotor. And these are directional. It has a sticker on it saying driver's or passenger side. And we'll use a couple of lug nuts to hold it in place. Just hand tight. And then have our caliper bracket. Uses the same bolts that we took out previously. I've cleaned them up on a wire wheel, gotten rid of the old Loctite or locking compound. And those are just snugged up. Then I've loaded the caliper with the pads. I'll have a little bit more detail on that later. That was somewhat an exercise in a little bit of frustration. But the way that these go in is they hook into the upper, and then these anti-rattle springs hold it in the bottom. And then there is a pin that slides through, a little down pressure on the caliper. Pin slides through, anchors the assembly in place. And then on the end of this pin is a washer and then a C-clip that snaps it in. And that is what holds it on. So these components seem to fit just fine. spins freely. And now for the test, I'll get the tire, make sure I have clearances everywhere. Got the wheel back on, held in with a couple of lug nuts. And I have clearance between the wheel spokes, and then especially where my stick-on wheel weights are on the wheel, they do not touch the caliper or get scraped off.